Number 25. Second Lieutenant Rajeev Sandhu. A second lieutenant in the Indian Army, Sandhu's group was ambushed while making their way to obtain rations while on deployment in Sri Lanka. A rocket coming from the assailants hit Sandhu's truck and killed all of them, but before the second lieutenant succumbed, he was able to kill the assailants with his assault rifle. Sandhu was posthumously given the Mahavir Chakra, the equivalent of a Purple Heart. Number 24. Ivar B. Knutson. Although not much is known of his life, we do know that Knudsen was one of the founders of Milorg, which later developed into Norway's major resistance movement during World War II. Rumor has it he was responsible for drawing maps for the Allied powers. He received several awards after the war before dying of cancer in 1952. Unfortunately, much of his story has been lost to time. Number 23. Vicente Lim. Lim was the very first Filipino graduate of the United States Military Academy at West Point. Although he played a crucial role in the Pacific Theater during World War II, he was captured by the Japanese in January of 1945 and executed by firing squad. His likeness has been commemorated on the country's 1,000 peso bill. Number 22. Allan McLane. Allan was an officer in the Continental Army during the American Revolution under the command of then General George Washington. He is well known for having used most of his fortune he inherited after his father died to fund his own company as far as payment and equipment for the troops. They managed to earn themselves the nickname the Market Stoppers. McLane also famously warned General Washington of his suspicion of Benedict Arnold's loyalty prematurely. Number 21. General Muhammadu Shuwa. General Shuwa was a well-known Ghanaian war hero. In spite of all his military training, however, Shuwa is also known as a patriot and a pacifist. According to President Goodluck Jonathan, General Muhammad Shuwa was a symbol of unity and humility who served his fatherland selflessly. Shuwa retired from the military in 1979 but was tragically assassinated by 4 assailants in 2012 in front of his home. Number 20. Mad Ann Bailey. Ann Bailey, or Mad Ann as she was also known, is known for her heroic acts during the Northwest Indian War in 1791, where she made a legendary 100-mile ride to Fort Savannah at Louisburg in order to retrieve much-needed ammunition for the colonial soldiers trapped in Fort Lee. Her path took her through dangerous wilderness, but she rode both directions successfully and is credited with saving the fort. Number 19. Private Austin Dabney. Another unknown hero during the American Revolution, Austin Dabney was a slave who fought against the British. When the Georgia militia was called up for the war, Dabney's master sent him in his place. In order to address objections concerning Dabney's slave status, his master claimed Dabney had been born free. He fought bravely and was seen as a war hero by many, and was given his freedom after the war. Number 18. Eugene Bullard. Bullard was the first ever African-American pilot and saw action during World War I. He then became a pilot in the Lafayette Flying Corps in the French Aéronautique Militaire, and on August 17, 1917, was assigned to the 93rd Spad Squadron. He took part in about 20 combat missions and was credited with shooting down several German aircraft. Because of his wounds during the Battle of Verdun, he was awarded the Croix de Guerre from the French. Number 17. John Jimmy Thach. An aviator, air combat tactician, and later U.S. Navy admiral, Thach developed what was known as the Thach Weave, which is a combat formation that can counter enemy fighters that have superior performance. He also developed the Big Blue Blanket, a type of aerial defense that can counter kamikaze attacks. His tactics have been responsible for numerous victories and have left a mark on military tacticians everywhere. Number 16. Joe Foss. Joseph Jacob Joe Foss was one of the leading fighter aces of the U.S. Marine Corps during World War II and was recognized for his performance during the Guadalcanal campaign, thus getting awarded with the Medal of Honor. Number 15. Knud Christiansen. Christiansen was part of the Danish freedom fighters in World War II. He engaged in sabotage in order to slow down the Nazi war machine. He was also a member of the Danish resistance, where he worked in a rescue network that saved numerous escaping Jews. Number 14. Muhammad Mahmood Alam. Air Commodore Muhammad Mahmood was a Pakistani hero in the Pakistan-India War of 1965. Commander of the No. 11 Squadron, Alam was a respected leader and a highly skilled pilot. In the war, he shot down 5 Indian warplanes in under a minute, the first 4 in under 30 seconds. In total, he was able to shoot down 9 warplanes and thus set a world combat record. Number 13. Sergeant Reckless. This war hero isn't exactly a human, although she helped a great deal during the Korean War. Sergeant Reckless was a Mongolian mare who was beloved by the Marines for her incredible display of heroism and courage. It was not uncommon for this mare to travel through highly active battlefields in order to bring ammunition and other supplies to the soldiers. In one momentous day, Reckless made 51 trips from the ammunition supply point to the firing sites, 95% of the time by herself. She was able to move 386 rounds of ammunition, which is over 9,000 pounds, over 35 miles of open rice paddies and up steep mountains. Number 12. Ira Hayes. Ira Hamilton Hayes, also known as Chief Falling Cloud to his Pima Native American tribe, was part of the small group who raised the American flag at Iwo Jima during World War II. He participated in the invasion of the island as well as the subsequent battle for it. His image has been immortalized in the now famous war picture. Number 11. Michael Patrick Murphy. Murphy was a lieutenant in the U.S. Navy SEALs and was the first person to be awarded the highest military decoration, the Medal of Honor, for his service in the Afghan War. Additionally, he was the first member of the Navy to receive the award since Vietnam. His other awards included the Purple Heart and Silver Star. Murph, as his friends called him, was always known as a protector. In 8th grade, he stood up for a special needs child who was being bullied by his teenage peers. Murph also protected a homeless man who was collecting cans from attackers. He chased away the attackers and helped the man pick up his cans. Sadly, Murph was killed on June 28, 2005 after his team was compromised and surrounded by Taliban forces near Asadabad, Afghanistan. Number 10. Manfred Albrecht Freiherr von Ricthofen. You've probably never heard of Manfred, at least not by that name. However, Manfred was a German fighter pilot with the Luftstreitkräfte, or Imperial German Army Air Force, during World War I. He is often considered the top ace of World War I, having had 80 air combat victories, but was eventually shot down and killed near Amiens in 1918. His name lives on, however, and you may recognize him as the Red Baron, arguably the most widely known fighter pilot of all time. Number 9. Talaiasi Labalaba. Labalaba was a Fijian sergeant in B Squadron 22nd British Special Air Service, or SAS, during the Battle of Mirbat, Oman in 1972. He heroically manned a 25-pound gun, which required 3 men despite having suffered grievous wounds at the hands of rebels. Labalaba died performing his selfless heroic act, which was crucial in helping to keep the insurgents pinned down until air reinforcements arrived. Number 8. Chien Sugihara. A Japanese diplomat who was stationed in Lithuania and acted as vice-consul for the Japanese Empire during World War II, Sugihara helped several thousand Jews in escaping the country. He issued transit visas to them in order to make their way to Japan. After risking his career and his family's lives, in 1985 Israel honored him as righteous among the nations for his actions. Number 7. Tommy Prince. Thomas George Tommy Prince is known as the most decorated Aboriginal war veteran in Canada, having served in both World War II and the Korean War. Prince was a superb marksman with exceptional tracking skills, which he learned from countless days spent hunting in the wilderness around his Indian reserve. He attended Elkhorn Residential School, from which he completed grade 8. After Tommy left school, he was employed at a variety of manual labor positions, and he joined the Army Cadets while still a teenager. Number 6. Gang Kui. Gang Kui is a hero from the Battle of Shanghai in 1937 and China's last surviving soldier from that time. He was last reported by a local newspaper to be living with one of his sons near Chengdu City. Number 5. White Vision. Another animal war hero, White Vision was a World War II homing pigeon who served with the National Pigeon Service. She was responsible for delivering information regarding the location of a crashed British plane during World War II to rescuers, saving 11 lives. Number 4. Van Cliburn. Though not a war veteran, Van Cliburn was an American pianist who achieved worldwide recognition in 1958 at the age of 23, when he won the first quadrennial International Tchaikovsky Piano Competition in Moscow at the height of the Cold War. This competition was meant to demonstrate Soviet cultural superiority. However, Van's performance earned him high praise from the judges, who gave Van the first prize and earned him credit for helping to ease tension between America and the Soviet Union. One could say he was something of a hero in the Cultural War. Number 3. Daniel Inouye. Daniel enlisted in the U.S. military in 1942 and soon after served in Europe as World War II ravaged the continent. He also served as Hawaii's congressman from 1959 to 1963 and then as its Democratic senator. Daniel was a Medal of Honor recipient and a member of the President pro tempore of the United States Senate from 2010 until his death in 2012, making him the highest-ranking Asian American politician in U.S. history. Number 2. Billy Bishop. William Avery Bishop was Canada's greatest air ace who served during World War II. He shot down a record 72 planes, second only to the Red Baron. Bishop was born in Owen Sound, Ontario on February 8, 1894, and was the second of 3 children born to William A. and Margaret Bishop. He was instrumental in setting up and promoting the British Commonwealth Air Training Plan. And number 1. Dmitry Donskoy. Saint Donskoy, also known as Dmitry of the Don, reigned as the Prince of Moscow from 1359 to his death in 1389. Donskoy was the first Moscow prince to openly challenge the authority of the Mongols in Russia. His nickname, Donskoy, alludes to his victory against the Tatars in the Battle of Kulikovo, which took place on the Don River. He is revered as a saint in the Russian Orthodox Church.